Let me bring in our next guest to talk about this ride disruption and why it's taking traditional players like the taxi industry so long to respond to disruptive tech companies. For more, we're joined by Santosh Rao. He's the head of research at Manhattan Venture Partners. Santosh, good to be with you again. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
I want to first get your take on these battles between old industry and new industry. How is this playing out and impacting the economy?
Well, I think this has been going on, and this was expected. Any kind of disruption always is not accepted by the status quo, so you're going to see that. And we are at early stages of this on-demand economy, the sharing economy that's really disrupting a very well-settled economy. I mean, very well verticals, which were very happy with, very complacent with what they had. So here comes this Uber, for instance, in the car-hailing vertical. They're just disrupting a nice way of life. So you will see this opposition. But I think overall, I think it's good for the economy. There is some price compression, wage compression, but that's happening in every vertical because of outsourcing, because of so many other things. All prices are coming down. But I think in the end, you will get a more productive, more efficient economy.
But Santosh, if you take even Airbnb as an example, is this occurring, sharing your home essentially, is it occurring because the economy is tough? And therefore, I wonder whether or not Airbnb, as an example, is going to be sustainable. Like, are there enough merits fundamentally for some of these different sharing kind of economies?
Yes, I think two or three reasons. I think, first of all, I think the technology is there now. To some extent, sharing economy was there all along. We've been sharing different things in different forms. But now I think that technology has really become very efficient. With the app economy really coming into the forefront, it's much easy to share stuff, to communicate, the social aspect of everything. So everything is coming together, making this possible. I think Airbnb fills a very big role. There is a lot of slack in all the verticals. There's a lot of areas to be filled, different holes to be filled. There's, of course, abuse of the system, but overall, I think Airbnb and Uber fill holes in the system that were not filled originally. So that you have more supply in the market, making things more efficient. People are happy, the prices are low. So I think that's the whole key.
It is. People do that. There's a value add there, and a lot of people do look at Uber and like what they're providing as well, just in terms of pure experience. And I think that's why it's been so sticky. But when you take a look at how these governments are trying to deal with the opposition, and rightly so, the taxi cab drivers have paid a lot of money for their licenses, and that gets wiped away quite quickly if, in fact, all of this goes through. So give us an example in terms of other cities, in terms of how this might actually play out.
Well, I think we're seeing that a lot in the U.S., and cities are slowly coming. It's really a battle one city at a time. I mean, Uber won some of the cities. They faced opposition in Austin, but I think different regulators are warming up to this idea of, in New York City, for instance, in my own city, there was a lot of opposition. They wanted to ban it, stop it, but they did a whole survey of their own, the city did, and they found out that Uber is really adding value to the city and not really congesting the cities and polluting the cities, as the critics were pointing out. So I think slowly, it's going to be a slow process, but in the end, people are going to realize that the tide of on-demand services is irreversible. You have to accept it. The regulation has to catch up with it. It's slow there. The taxi industry, to some extent, is regulated, and regulated industries are kind of complacent and not competitive. They need to get competitive, maybe adopt this technology on their own and compete. I mean, at the end of the day, this is still a big, especially in the US, it's a $100 billion taxi and limousine business. And the ride-hailing business is a very small component of that. Though it's growing the fastest, it's still a very small component of the whole thing. So it's going to be a long time before it even catches up to the whole thing. And it may not. What will happen in the end is probably stay along with it. It'll be complementary to the overall taxi industry.
What do you think is next in terms of being disrupted?
Well, I think you're seeing in every area. I think these were the very low-lying fruit, if I may say so. I mean, the housing and something that are consumer-facing. Those are the industries that are really accepted. So you got the delivery services that's done, ride-hailing, housing. So I think a lot of stuff is going on the healthcare side, where you have direct. Talking, you're disrupting, you're taking away the middleman, and you're having like basically one person talk to the end customer. So I can't really point out right now, but you can see this growing, this logic going to every vertical to some extent. You can take away the middleman and have directly deal with the supplier.
And all because of what I'm hearing from you is, well, there's a demand for it. There's always a demand for a better product, a better quality, a better something. There's always that, but then it's enabled because of technology.
You're right. Technology and the payment processing systems, the security, the social aspect where you can rate the people, and there is a safety factor involved in there. That's a big part. The sense of security that you get in an Uber versus taking a cab late night is different, and that adds value as well. So in the end, I mean, you're seeing that the early price differential, which is very high for Uber drivers versus the taxi drivers, that's coming down. You're seeing rumblings of Uber drivers complaining that at the end of it, after all the costs, they're pretty much making what the taxi drivers are making, but the sense of flexibility, the security, and working at their pace in the rush hours, making the money and still keeping their other jobs. And those are other factors that are playing into this whole debate. And I think that'll keep the on-demand economy very strong.
Okay, Santosh, good to be with you today. Thank you very much.